One of the most dangerous things that you could do today is simply tell a stranger your phone number. Maybe you heard me say this and you thought, that's crazy. I use my phone number for all sorts of things. I mean, let's face it, a lot of third parties have our phone numbers. And because of this, an entire industry has built up around them. The reality is that while we might change email addresses from time to time, our phone numbers are unlikely to change. We typically have them for life, or if not for life, for decades. And it's precisely the static nature of our phone numbers that makes them so valuable to advertisers.
They're called data brokers, and they're collecting, analyzing, and packaging some of our most sensitive personal information and selling it as a commodity.
If you want proof of this, go ahead and Google your phone number in quotation marks and see what you find. And stick around so I can show you how to make this disappear forever. So if you did this little Google experiment and you were disturbed by what you saw, we should know that this is part of your advertising ID, which is also sometimes called a consumer graph. And this is essentially a detailed web of our relationships, our habits, our preferences that gets bundled together and sold to advertisers. And not just advertisers, but data brokers like Axiom and LexisNexis. These companies and individuals, real people using these companies, can use your phone number to figure out where you live, how much you earn, who you vote for, and who you're related to. Now, this data about what makes you you, it's really valuable, right? So it does get packaged and resold to insurers, to advertisers, to political campaigns, even platforms used to complete background checks. Here's an example of how this plays out in real life. Let's say you're in the market to rent a new home or apartment and you're talking to a landlord who's using a software to essentially score you. This software generates what's called a tenant risk score, which basically tells the landlord how likely you are to pay rent on time. Now, this score is based partially on your phone number, and this software will look at your area code and make some broad judgments about how reliable people who happen to live in that same area code are when it comes to paying rent or not. You might have two people with identical incomes, with identical credit scores, but with different phone scores. One of these people gets approved for that new apartment, the other doesn't. So I think you can see it's not just about ads, right? It's about whether you get the apartment or not. It's about how much you pay for insurance. It's about whether you get the job interview or not, or whether you're discriminated against based on an algorithm's understanding of the risk profile of your area code. And all of this made possible because you, like me, have just been handing your phone number out like Oprah giving away free cars for years, decades now. So it's worth asking, how the heck did we get here? And to do that, we need to rewind back to 2007 when the first iPhone was launched.
Cell phone doesn't have any buttons, just a touch screen. Just the way the iPod changed the way we think of music, Apple's phone may change the way we think of cell phones.
Back then, your phone number was not nearly as valuable to advertisers as it is today. Something you gave to friends, maybe a pizza place, but it didn't link your in real life activities to this broader identity graph that I'm talking about. But soon after the iPhone launched, Apple launched the App Store, which of course exploded in popularity, and apps needed a way to verify new users. Phone numbers are unique and they're much harder to create in batches compared to email addresses. So phone-based verification evolved, and by 2014, it was a requirement for signing up for a lot of new platforms. And by 2020, your phone number had become sort of a digital thread that connected many seemingly disconnected elements of your life. So who's profiting from your phone number? One company is Epsilon, which processes over 7 billion consumer interactions every month. They have clients like JPMorgan Chase, Best Buy, and Dell, and they use your phone number to create a behavioral profile that predicts things like brand loyalty or your likelihood of switching jobs. You've also got Axiom, a data broker which the New York Times described as a quiet giant. Allegedly, Axiom maintains consumer profiles for 2.5 billion individuals worldwide, so this is not just limited to Americans. And of course, you have LexisNexis, another name you might be familiar with. LexisNexis has an entire division that they call Risk Solutions that basically uses your phone number along with other data points to influence decisions such as whether you're considered to be creditworthy or not. Luckily, there are things you can do to opt out. The first thing I'd recommend is that you create a second burner number. You can use something like Google Voice for this. Essentially, you use this for sort of low consequence transactions. So maybe you use this when you sign up for the gym, or if you're signing up for any grocery store rewards programs, loyalty programs, things like this. Use the second phone number that's just really not valuable to you and that isn't linked to other elements or aspects of your identity. So if you do this, you're going to end up with a secondary number that you use for unimportant stuff and a primary phone number that you use for important stuff. The important stuff being primarily communication with very close friends and family members. And if you really wanted to take this a step further, you could set up a unique phone number only for your banking. The next thing you can do is you can audit what information about yourself is already out there. Take your first, middle, and last name, put them in quotes, put that in Google, and see what results you get. If you're like most people, you're going to find that you are on some data broker sites like Spokeo, Redaris, White Pages, Been Verified. These are some of the biggest culprits. Luckily for you, they do have a legal obligation to remove your information if you ask, so you can go ahead and do that, or you can claim the Data Deletion Blueprint linked up below, and that'll give you some more context and help you to do this a little more effectively. The next thing you can do, like yesterday, is not have your phone number as a two-factor authentication recovery method. Ideally, you have no text message two-factor authentication set up, although some banks still unfortunately only offer 2FA via text, so that is frustrating, but where you can avoid it, you should. And in place of text message based 2FA, 2FA, go ahead and use a software like Authy or Google Authenticator, or even better, use Visa hardware like a YubiKey. Next up, for throwaway transactions, so say you're selling something on Facebook Marketplace or on Craigslist, you can get a burner number through Burner or Hush. These are two companies that offer these temporary phone numbers that you can create for one-off purposes. Next up, you can log in your social media accounts, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever you happen to be active, and you can turn off this feature called Find Me by My Phone Number. And if you've been using your phone number for a long time and you've given it to people who in hindsight maybe you shouldn't have, you can always just change your number. Go ahead, check out my data deletion blueprint in the video description below. That's going to give you additional steps you can take to live a more private, secure life. Thank you so much for watching and for empowering yourself to live a better, more secure life. I'm Brandon, Security Hero, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.